Hello tanks and tankettes, welcome to a replay of mine. This is actually one of the games I was talking about in the recent 50B video where I said I'd had a couple of particularly good games the week prior. In this case it is in the E50. Now I'm platooned up with Circon in a Conway and Snooze in a Conqueror. So of all three of them I've probably got, well actually having said the best all-round armour. Kind of. Since the Conqueror got buffed, it's actually got fairly reasonable frontal armour now as well. The turret especially was a bit of a weak point previously, but it's a bit tougher these days, especially with matchmaking like this. Now there is one artillery per team, but we do have a reasonable number of tanks coming down on this flank, and the fact that we're top tier means that we can probably, unless we meet all of their tier 9s, push through this fairly easily. And the theory is here that if we can take control of this flank, and our very good positioning on the team list means that we should, in theory, have a reasonably easy time of it, then we can either push round to the enemy base and flank round the enemy team from behind, or cap in a worst case scenario, or else we can go back to defend our own cap. And we are, I think, all of us mobile enough that we can definitely get away with that. So right away, there is in fact one of the enemy tier 9s. Yes, in fact two. The Jagdtiger, not just the SD1, but the Jagdtiger is here as well, which is a bit unexpected. And I think I was saying on the stream at that point, well, we probably won't see any of the tier 9s because they're all going to be in the town, right? And the SD1 especially, you would expect, would be using the town, because there's one RT per team and there is really no RT cover on this flank, so it is more a matter of trying not to sit still in the same spot for too long, which I am kind of doing here, but honestly the terrain that we're on makes keeping really mobile quite difficult. I'm half in the water here and you can't move fast in water at all. The Jagdtiger is a little bit too bold, and I managed to get a bit of assistance damage, but he repairs his tracks pretty quickly and gets away with his life, but he's lost most of his hit points in the meantime. And, oh, there we go, an incautious side of the turret there. Now, Snooze is, yes, about to have a very bad thing happen. That is the very first damage he took, and it was almost enough to kill him. And that's a tier 8 arty that just hit him, so yeah, sometimes you just have to take your chances with artillery, and I could go on about arty here, I could. Snooze certainly did in the battle, but anyway, it remains that he is still alive, his gun is still functional, although I think he took, I think he lost, what, something like 2 modules and a crew member or something from that hit. But the fact that he is still alive, and the fact that his powerful 120mm gun is still in the game, yeah, it will still be, you know, he is still going to get to do stuff. It's just now he has to just be a hell of a lot more cautious. And there we go, Artie taking another pot shot at me, I think, this time. So this is one of those flanks where you just kind of, because there isn't really much artillery come to work with, you just kind of have to trust that artillery will miss you, because the alternative is sitting really, really far back and playing completely passively and just hoping that the enemy don't come to you and don't spot you. That there's no way, even playing aggressively here, there's no way to outsmart artillery. I mean, we were on a slope-ish, but yeah, you just have to take your chances sometimes. There are many, many times on many maps where you just absolutely have to take the risk and there is no choice. It's either that or sit twiddling your thumbs doing nothing, at which point you've probably lost. So it looks like the VKB and his allies in the town were able to overcome our tanks that were in the town, which, to be fair, we had soft holds, T-34s and Tiger 2s and whatever, so not surprising that a VKB was more than a match for them. But, as I said, we are in an excellent position to come back and defend. And this T-44 that I just bumped into, well, he's actually going to be rather he's going to play well, as you will see. And Snooze and Circon, well, Circon in the Conway, it's not particularly tough. In fact, it's a rather fragile machine. The entire 2nd British TD line are noted for their fragility, but at tier 8 and tier 9 you at least have some pretty decent firepower to work with. And Snooze, well, he has also got pretty decent firepower, but he's incredibly low health, so he just can't take the risk. So I had a nice shot into the side of the VKB, but he now has his front armour towards us. Snooze, meanwhile, unfortunately, got snuck up on by that WZ-132, and because he's been left on such low health by the artillery, yeah. He did, however, manage to do a fairly respectable amount of damage before he died, despite having taken that massive hit. So a VKB, generally speaking, you won't want to be facing one of these frontally in a medium tank, even in a same tier medium tank, but we are 2 medium tanks. And this T-44 looks like he's going to go around. And we're not really communicating as such, but as he's going to go that way, I'm going to go this way, and we are going to basically split this guy's attention. He's going to have to turn to look at one of us, and the T-44, well, he's not full health, but he can take one hit, which he does, unfortunately. But meanwhile, and you see there, he's also, you know, he gets the kill, he uses his superior mobility to get around the side, but I put a shot into his rear armour and left him as an easy one shot for the T-44. So even as a lower tier medium tank, working together with myself there in that situation, or me, I don't know if it was me reacting to what he was doing or him reacting to what I was doing, but either way, between us, we took down that VKB without too much difficulty. And artillery also did try and take another pot shot at me in the meantime. Meanwhile, in the south, well, Serkon is taking down, taking the other flank down that way, that route, because that's quicker for him. I'm going to go down this way, because at this point, this is the quicker route for me, and we know where the remaining enemy 3 vehicles are. The Conqueror, actually, on the enemy team, I don't think he moved that far from... he was on the mid-ridge to start with, and then he went back to try and defend his base. He's actually stock. So when you're not, even in this matchmaking, you know, which is what you would want for any stock vehicle when you're top tier, it's still not ideal. So I can't blame him too much for hanging back. But at this point, the T-54, knowing that he's facing a stock Conqueror, could actually just go in and take that guy, especially when he can go in behind him. And he actually does sneak a shot in there, but rather than, you know, he's in a T-54, rather than be aggressive and just go in and abuse the somewhat weak hull armour of the Conqueror. I mean, the upper front plate is good, but the rest of the hull armour is not particularly great. Instead, he just hangs back, and yes, okay, we've got superior numbers. He doesn't have to take the damage, he doesn't have to take the risk, but that means less reward for him, and potentially more reward for me, so I shouldn't be complaining too much. It's just, you know, he could have, and he didn't. So the T-44 doesn't want to go in front because he's going to be a one-shot kill, and I've managed to retain all my hit points in this battle, up until this point anyway. And I just go in YOLO, because why not? And Serkon just sneaks the kill. So, as you can see, that was a pretty good result for me, and I was actually kind of hoping that would be my ace tanker game, because I've only ever managed a first class, and this was yet another first class. But even so, nearly 6,000 damage done. I was pretty pleased with that all the same. Serkon actually remarked himself, because he's been playing the E50 a bit recently, that, you know, he might have contributed to the fact that that was a first class rather than an ace. But anyway, I'll persist. I'll keep at it. I feel like I can do it. So with that final sneaky kill, Serkon got himself a top gun. I had a high caliber, and I actually had... this is a very rare result screen we're looking at. More score and more damage than Serkon, and part of that was because he was in the Conway. If he'd been in a medium tank, as I was, I suspect it would not have been that case. But anyway, it was a very nice game for me in the E50, and I do like it as a medium tank, and I say this as somebody who is heavily biased towards heavy tanks, and who is very much looking forward to the armoured monstrosities that are the Japanese heavies. Even so, if you're like me, if you like your well-armoured heavies, the E50 line might be worth considering, because it is, especially with the E50 and the 50M, it gives you good firepower, but it also gives you a nice bit of armour to work with as well. They're not nearly as fragile as some of the other medium lines that are in this game. So yeah, I would recommend that as something, if you want to play something a bit different than your usual heavy diet, then that is one of the better medium lines to go for. So, Maybe at some point I'll get to show you an ace tanker game before I unlock the E50M. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But if in the meantime you enjoyed this particular slice of high tier medium action, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.